Instagram, code.manxx. This is my Instagram right here, y'all. Hold on. Code.manxx. Let's brighten it up. I appreciate y'all for following that, man. All right. Fun to get into it. 7 signs you're emotionally wounded. First of all, y'all hit that like button. Y'all subscribe to the channel. Y'all also to comment and share this. Also too, man, donate, don't hate, man. All right. So we fun to get into it, y'all. Number one, another sign that you're emotionally wounded. You have flashbacks, guys. This is a sign that you're emotionally wounded, guys. When you have flashbacks, and sometimes you may act out, or sometimes you may even talk to yourself. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. Every now and then, I will have a flashback. You know what I'm saying? That's me being emotionally wounded. No, I'm not afraid to say that. You know, sometimes I would think about certain things that traumatized me in the past, and it changed my mood. You know what I'm saying? But at the time when I was doing that, I was not eating healthier. My mind was not in the right place. You know what I'm saying? I was at a low vibration. But, now I don't have that no more. I learned how to let the past go. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all have flashbacks because you don't want to let the past go. You got to let things go, guys. You know what I'm saying? Life goes on. People move forward. You got to move forward. You can't move forward if you keep thinking about the past and you know what I'm saying, allowing that person to live rent free in your head. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people do that. Y'all allowing these old people, these people that you've been with in the past live rent free in your head, and it's damaging you. It's really hurting you more. You know what I'm saying? Because you thinking about what they did to you, and it caused you to have mood swings. People thinking that you really, you bipolar. Like they were just talking to you a minute ago. You was happy, all of a sudden now, you had this mood swing. You know what I'm saying? Because you having flashbacks. That's a sign that you're emotionally wounded. You know what I'm saying? You gotta learn how to, like I said, let God and let go. You know what I'm saying? The Bible says, cast all your cares on God. Don't worry about, the past. You know what I'm saying? When you worry about the past, it can affect your future, right? You know what I'm saying? Or you worry about the past because you don't have no future. You don't have no new goals. This is why I tell you guys to have goals. Have things written down on the planner. Set up your next day before it comes, right? This is why I tell you guys to basically plan your days out ahead of time. You got to already know what you're going to do before you do it the next day. That's my mindset. I already know what I'm going to do the next day. You know what I'm saying? Because I live my life based off of discipline. I live my life based off of structure and strategy. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have no structure, it leave room for you being, it leave room for chaos and confusion in your life. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have no structure. You know what I'm saying? You getting up, not knowing what to do. It can leave room for confusion. It can leave room for chaos. It can leave room for an idle mind, and you end up doing stuff you ain't got no business doing because you don't have nothing positive going on, right? So you guys gotta understand, man, those flashbacks is gonna keep you at a low vibration. You know what I'm saying? Which is acclimated to this third dimensional realm, right? Because God allowed the devil to run this realm, all right? So you guys gotta understand that. Number two, another sign you're emotionally wounded. You have low self-esteem. This is another sign that you've been emotionally wounded. Somebody may hurt you so bad to the point where it lowered you, right? You don't know your worth. You know what I'm saying? Because you feel like you just feel so traumatized. You feel like you don't deserve anything good. You've been hurt by people that's bad. That's demonic, right? That's got that demonic fallen angel spirit, right? To the point where you feel like when you get somebody good, you don't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? That's you being emotionally wounded. That's a sign of low self-esteem. Or you don't have the courage to get up and do anything. You don't have the courage to even better your life because you've been emotionally wounded. It could be by your dad. It could be by your mom, your sister, your brother. your family, even the church, whatever the case is, right? You could be emotionally wounded, but you gotta rise above that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand that you're more than a conqueror. That you could look past that. It's all just a test, guys. You know, the low self esteem, that's a test. You know, to try to figure out what you're gonna do about it. You know, you gotta figure out. I tell you guys to start with small goals first. You know, to get up your self esteem. You know what I'm saying? And then go to the big goals. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, like I said, man, you know, they try to go for these big goals, right? But they're not really ready for it, and then they fail, and then, you know, it still damages them, still keep them, and put them right back in that low self-esteem. Start with baby steps first. Start with small goals first. You know, to build up your confidence, to build up your self-esteem, and stuff like that. All right, guys? But this is a sign that you're emotionally wounded. Number 3, you can't control your emotions. This is definitely a sign that you're emotionally wounded. You know, I've seen this one girl, you know, she's not raised by her parents and stuff like that. And you can tell that she's kind of like going through something. You know, when she had got mad one time, like she was just so out of control. Like when she was yelling, like she was just so out of control. And I can tell that she's just been emotionally wounded. You know, this is a sign that, you know, even sometimes I may slip up with this. I ain't gonna sit up here a lot. You know what I'm saying? When you like get too emotional real quick about something, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we do this, guys. You know what I'm saying? We don't know the full story about something, and we get very, very emotional. We start yelling and all this type of stuff. It's because it's a sign that we have been emotionally wounded. You know, this is why a lot of people nowadays, you know, it's hard for them to gather their emotions. You know what I'm saying? They quick to get emotional. You know what I'm saying? They, you know, because they got a lot of built up anger. You know, they feel like they need to let out. But you can let out your anger in so many different ways, in a positive way, instead of a negative way, right? Through your purpose, through your goals, exercising. There's many different ways that you can let out that anger, but a lot of people, they tend to let out that anger out on the people that's close to them. Or they let out that anger, you know, they just lash out. You know what I'm saying? You know, they don't try to get on top of understanding, you know what I'm saying, psychologically, right? Because they've been emotionally, you know, somebody play with their emotions too much, so they feel like everybody testing them. You know what I'm saying? They feel like everybody trying them. They feel like everybody trying to play them, right? So they lash out of emotion, and it causes them to lose control. See, and this is a sign that you've been emotionally wounded. You know what I'm saying? Somebody play with your emotions too much. And guys, in order for you to gain that emotional control, you got to stop and think. You know what I'm saying? Before you get emotional, you got to live in your head. You know, I know it's hard for a lot of people to live in their head, because maybe y'all a lot of y'all probably been raised by just, you know, your mom or something like that. And you see her like loud a lot or lashing out a lot, and then you become the personification of her. You start to do the same thing that she doing, because that's all you see. And you know, you don't see nobody around you, you know what I'm saying, as far as your parents, not lashing out of anger, you know, yelling, you know, and stuff like that. So you start to do it. But you gotta control your, you know, emotions, right? How you control your emotions, you gotta stop and try to come with logic. You know, you gotta understand that every action don't need no reaction. You know what I'm saying? So you guys gotta understand that, man, alright? Number 4, another sign you're emotionally wounded. You have a heavy heart. This is a sign that you're emotionally wounded, guys. When you have a heavy, heavy heart, you know what I'm saying? You feel like your mind is everywhere. It's like when people look at you, they can tell that you're thinking about a lot. You know what I'm saying? This is a sign that you could be emotionally wounded. A heavy heart comes with a lot of thoughts. A heavy heart comes with a lot of sleepless nights. You know what I'm saying? Because you worry about so much. Maybe you a mom or dad, you probably worrying about your kids. Maybe they're in the streets or something like that. And you just got this heavy heart. You know what I'm saying? You hoping that they okay. You know, even though that you done told them not to do that, but they still doing what they doing, right? You know, it can cause a heavy heart. But this is a sign that you can be emotionally wounded, right? So you guys gotta understand that, you know what I'm saying, this is a sign that you could be emotionally damaged, alright guys? Number 5, you don't trust people. This is a sign that you're emotionally wounded. You know what I'm saying? Most people nowadays just say, man, I don't trust the majority of people, right? Some people say they don't trust nobody. But you know you trust, you maybe trust your mom or somebody, right? Your best friend or your mom, somebody. You trust somebody, right? Most people trust somebody. Let's keep it real. All right. But when you don't say that you don't trust nobody, it's a sign that you could be emotionally wounded. You know what I'm saying? Because you put your all into these relationships. You know what I'm saying? You put a lot of energy towards it, and they broke your trust. You trusted them to not cheat on you. You trusted them not to, damage you or lie to you or whatever the case is, and they broke your trust. So now you saying that you don't trust nobody. This is a sign that you're emotionally wounded, guys. All right. Number 6, guys. You emotionally eat. This is a sign that you're emotionally wounded, guys. Hold on, guys. When you eating out of emotion, guys, this is a sign that you're emotionally wounded. A lot of people, they do this. A lot of males and females, they do this. When, let's say they just got their heart broke, right? And they start eating out of emotion because they think that that's what's going to make them feel better, right? And food, it can make you feel better, but sometimes people eat even when they're not even hungry. You know what I'm saying? Some people eat when they buy food, right? And they still eating because they've been emotionally wounded. You know what I'm saying? That the chemical from the food is giving you that addiction, and plus two, it's kind of releasing that dopamine that's in your brain. You know what I'm saying? Because it's making you feel better when you eat because your heart has been broken. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of females they eat out of emotion, right? A lot of females, that's been damaged by different guys, stuff like that. They alone, they eat out of emotion because they don't trust no man, and they've been hurt so bad to the point where, they just say, you know what, I accept that I'm never gonna be able to get a man to treat me right, so to make me feel better, I'm just gonna eat out of emotion, right? I'm just gonna eat a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, this is a sign that you have been emotionally wounded. It's better to do something else, better to exercise. It's better to have different goals and stuff like that because, like I said, man, overeating is not good. Gluttony is not good. It's a sin. When you overeat, guys, all right? Number 7, guys, another sign that you've been emotionally wounded. You have trouble quieting your mind at night. This is a sign that you've been emotionally wounded, guys. When you having trouble quieting your mind at night, guys, you know what I'm saying? And you just thinking about a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? You think about a lot of deep stuff, especially when you get late. You know what I'm saying? 11, 12, 1, 2, and maybe even 3 o'clock in the morning, you thinking about some crazy stuff. Maybe you just got out of a dream. You know what I'm saying? Your dream woke you up, and your dream was crazy. You thinking about it, right? This is a sign that you could have been emotionally wounded. Or you thinking about why that person not texting back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe somebody might be in the hospital, right? And you wonder why they not texting you back. Did their life get deleted? You know what I'm saying? You think about, is they gone or what? You know what I'm saying? This sign that you could be emotionally wounded, guys, when you can't quiet your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Many times I couldn't quiet my thoughts because I'm thinking about a heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping it real with y'all. A lot of men, they don't talk about their heartbreaks, but I'm not afraid to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Many times I was emotionally wounded, sitting up late at night, couldn't go to sleep, feeling angry, feeling depressed. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have no goals, I didn't have no purpose. All right, guys. Well, this is a sign that you could be emotionally wounded, guys. Hope you guys some advice. Hope it helped you out and encourage you in some sort of way, man. It's Kobe, I'm out.